The nerve of him to embezzle even the gallery holding funds? And that necklace around Irene's neck. Is it the limited edition one you got for your birthday last year? She stared down at the flamboyant signature at the end of the agreement, then suddenly laughed, a coldness as sharp as shattered ice lacing her words. He said Irene's pregnant. Such a cliché plot. The roar of a sports car shattered the dust below. Through the gap in the curtains, Andrea was embracing Irene as they stepped into the elevator. The diamond around the girl's neck glinted blindingly, like a needle, pricking the memory of her 18-year-old self in a worn trench coat, smudged with ochre paint from Luca's studio. Isabella stood by the floor-to-ceiling window of her Milan apartment, her fingertips unconsciously brushing the rim of her wine glass. The amber whiskey glowed coldly in the sunset. Just like the divorce agreement Andrea had left by the entrance that morning, the gilded divorce on the cover bore the exact same pattern as the one in the ring box he'd used to propose 3 years prior. "Are you sure you want to sign this?" Her best friend Sophia's voice came through the phone, crackling with static. "He's even taking the gallery shares? Didn't you tell me the financial statements still had holding funds marked on them?" Isabella glanced down at Andrea's flamboyant signature at the end of the agreement, her fingertips tracing the raised ink on the paper. She opened a photo of the statement saved on her phone. Next to artwork purchase funds, in the corner of one page, a line of small print was circled in pencil. Transferred to an empty Dubai company. No record of physical goods. He said Irene's pregnant. She suddenly laughed, her tone sharp with icy coldness. Such a tired cliché. Even the lines sound like they're copied from a third-rate novel. The roar of a sports car echoed from below, its engine so loud it seemed to shatter the dusk. She lifted a corner of the curtain just in time to see Andrea slinging an arm around Irene's waist as they entered the elevator. The diamond glinting around the girl's neck was the limited edition necklace Andrea had bought with her secondary card for her birthday last year. "That's your birthday gift," Sophia screeched through the phone, the clatter of a keyboard in the background. "I asked Elena to check. Irene plagiarized someone's novel back in college. Elena still has the email records from back then." Elena had been Isabella's classmate at the Paris College of Art and now ran an independent studio, always saying an artist's eyes can never tolerate plagiarism. Isabella set her wine glass on the agreement. The liquid blurred the ink, as if framing the word divorce with an amber border. "Now it's a breakup gift," she said. She opened her wardrobe, her fingers brushing past high-end dresses. The silk reminded her of coarser fabric. The worn trench coat she'd had in college, its cuffs still stained with ochre paint from Luca's studio. "Remember that shared apartment in Paris? Book me a ticket tomorrow." Elena said I can stay in her study. "Are you insane? Just letting them get away with this?" Sophia's voice rose sharply. "I just sorted through 3 financial statements, all proof that Andrea's been transferring assets." Isabella pulled out her oldest trench coat, her fingertips pinching the hard, dried paint on the cuffs. A souvenir from when she and Luca had fought over the right to use the studio at 18 and knocked over a paint palette. "You think the Financial Times would be interested in a story about a Milan socialite's tangled finances?" She smiled at the paint on the coat, as if talking to her younger self from years ago. The sound of a key turning in the lock suddenly cut through the air, cold with the scrape of metal. She hung up quickly, pretending to pack her suitcase, tucking the financial statements into the inner pocket of her trench coat. Andrea approached, smelling of a mix of cologne and perfume, a scent that reminded her of the cheap fragrance in Irene's hair. "Made up your mind?" He loosened his tie, his gaze flicking to the suitcase at her feet, a hint of impatience in his eyes. "Sign it, and you'll still get a compensation payout." Isabella folded the trench coat into the bottom of her suitcase. The hard paint scraped against her palm through the fabric. "Remember our first date? You said you hated melodramas the most." She looked up at him. The sunset slanted through the floor-to-ceiling window, splitting his face into light and shadow. "Now you've become the male lead, the cheesiest one at that." Andrea's expression froze for a moment, as if struck where it hurt. "Stop being ridiculous, I say. Irene needs my walk-in closet? Or my bank account?" She suddenly grabbed the wine glass and hurled it at the wall. Shards of glass scattered across the Persian rug. The wine soaked into the patterns, like a pool of congealed blood. "Congratulations, you found a substitute who even copies other people's personas." The next morning, Isabella received a text from Sophia at the airport. "Apartment sorted. Elena cleaned the study and left you a hot coffee. P.S. Your ex-husband's trending." The Financial Times broke the story about his suspected asset misappropriation. She opened the link. The headline, "Milan Socialites Art Scam, Unaccounted Funds, Alleged Gallery Share Embezzlement," blared out. The top comment below read, "Is this the price of ditching an art curator for an influencer?" The attached photo showed Andrea and Irene together, the diamond necklace around the girl's neck glaringly obvious. As the plane took off, Isabella opened her carry-on notebook. Taped to the first page was an old sketch Luca had drawn years ago. the two of them as teenagers, sitting on an old bridge in Florence. She had turned her head away in a huff, while Luca held an ice cream in front of her. In the corner of the sketch, a line of small text read, "To my forever rival." A flight attendant brought her champagne, the cold glass pressed against her fingertips. She gently touched the hand holding the ice cream in the drawing. The cold sensation felt like it transcended time, reaching the summer of her 18th year. My turn now, she thought. When she closed the notebook, the bubbles in the champagne fizzed softly against the glass. Just like the sound of paint tubes being squeezed in the studio back then, I in the study of the Paris apartment. Sophia frowned at her computer screen, typing so hard it sounded like she was slamming Andrea's face into the keyboard. Are you sure you want to use such a corny name like Sane Riverside Lit Chats? Anti-Plagiarism Alliance would be more straightforward. Better than League of Vengeful Goddesses, Isabella said, pulling the trench coat from the bottom of her suitcase. The ochre paint on the cuffs had dried into hard, scab-like lumps. She suddenly remembered something and turned to rummage through the notebooks in her pocket. Inside was a yellowed scrap of paper, its edges still tinged with the turpentine scent unique to Luca's studio from their teenage years. Remember this? Sophia leaned over and burst out laughing. Oh my God, you actually kept the challenge letter Luca tore up. The words curatorial proposal duel on the paper were split by rough creases, and the ink blots she jabbed into it with a fountain pen back then were still visible. I wrote 3 whole pages of taunts. Even included how he taps his foot when he sketches, Isabella said, scraping the paint stains on the paper with her fingernail. Paint dust fell in her coffee cup, sending tiny ripples across the surface. Then he stood in front of the whole class, and she suddenly tossed the paper into the air. The scraps fluttered down into the coffee like snowflakes, dissolving in a light brown pulp. Sophia's camera caught her flushed face perfectly. The light on the screen flickered. So this is the truth behind the art department prodigy tearing up a love letter. She suddenly lowered her voice, clicking her mouse to pull up an art forum page. Serious question. Have you seen him since? You said you passed him at the Florence Biennale, right? Isabella stirred the pulp at the bottom of her cup. The whiskey had turned the writing into blurry blue streaks, like the red-rimmed eyes she'd had from crying back then. He acted like he didn't see me. Didn't even turn his head, she said, staring at the settled scraps. Her fingertips twisted unconsciously around the cup handle. Maybe he thought tearing up a girl's challenge letter was embarrassing. Or maybe he thought my taunts back then were childish. Or Sophia suddenly swiveled her computer screen toward her voice brimming with excitement. Maybe he was afraid you'd find this. The forum page showed a screenshot of an interview Luca had given last year. When asked about his biggest regret, the man, wearing an apron splattered with paint, had rubbed the edge of his easel unconsciously and said, "Not keeping the first challenge letter I ever received in my life. Looking back, I really regret it." Isabella felt something flutter in her stomach, like a butterfly with wings dipped in turpentine. She grabbed her phone and opened her photo album. The group photo on the old Florence Bridge was saved as a private image. Luca, as a teenager, held an ice cream that just covered her pouting face. The sun had gilded their hair. "We're leading with this for the first episode," Sophia said, already opening a new document. The title, "When the guy who tore up your challenge letter becomes an industry big shot," stared back at them. She winked. "You did right, exposing art world dirty laundry in the account bio. This is practically handing itself to us." Isabella pressed the last scrap of paper flat on the desk. Only half of her neat signature, Isabella, remained. The hoot of a Seine River cruise ship drifted in through the window, a long, drawn-out sound that echoed the unfinished challenge she'd screamed into the wind at 18, the one that had floated into Luca's studio. Wait, she suddenly stopped Sophia's hand just as she was about to hit upload, coffee stained still on her fingertips. Add a paragraph, and include the screenshot of Elena's email. Let's build some hype first. Over the clatter of the keyboard, Elena poked her head out of the kitchen, holding a plate of croissants. The smell of butter mingled with coffee. "Wanting to send you the email records of Irene's plagiarism? I've got the professor's criticism letter attached too." He called her completely lacking in originality. Sophia hovered her finger over the enter key. The screen light glinted off her glasses. "Are you sure you want at Luca's studio account right now? What if he doesn't reply? That'd be awkward." Isabella looked at the ending she'd just typed on the screen. Curious what happened to the torn challenge letter? Follow us. Next episode, we'll show you how a certain painter sketched its scraps for 7 years and suddenly smiled. She remembered how Luca had always called her full of tricks at 18. Some things never changed. Her phone on the desk suddenly vibrated. An unknown number sent a photo. In the dim corner of a studio, scraps of paper held up by magnets spelled out her full name, Isabella, in a lopsided arrangement. Every edge of the paper had been carefully taped with clear tape, as if afraid it would tear again. Isabella's fingertips hovered over the screen. The patched-together signature felt like a red-hot coal, burning her skin. When Sophia leaned over, she locked the screen on reflex. Was that from him? Sophia's eyelashes fluttered in the screen's glow, her tone certain. The studio background looks like the old workshop at the Florence Academy of Art. I saw that window when I went sketching there last year. The coffee on the desk had gone cold. Condensation beaded on the cup. Isabella stirred the pulp at the bottom, where the blue ink from the paper had blurred into soft clouds, just like her racing heartbeat. 7 years, she said suddenly, her voice so soft it seemed afraid of being carried away by the wind. Why'd he keep these scraps? The phone vibrated again. The new message was a 30-second video, its thumbnail showing the Sane Riverside Lit Chats page they just set up. Sophia gasped, tapping the play button. He saw it. We only posted it 20 minutes ago. In the video, Luca wore an apron splattered with paint. The background was exactly the wall covered in paper scraps from the photo. His hair was shorter than it had been at the Biennale, and there was a fresh scratch on his jaw, like he'd just looked up from his easel. Isabella, he said directly to the camera, his Adam's apple bobbing. His voice was rough, as if tinged with turpentine. The reason I tore up your challenge letter back then was because the frame suddenly froze on his pressed lips. The progress bar stopped at 29 seconds, a deliberate cliffhanger. Because what? Sophia poked the pause button, her tone urgent. This guy even times the buffer to be dramatic, total tease. Isabella touched the hard lump on the cuff of her trench coat. The rough paint suddenly brought back the afternoon she turned 18, when Luca had torn her challenge letter into pieces in front of the whole class. The scraps had fallen to the studio floor with a crisp sound, just like her shattered pride. She unlocked her phone. The text box showed typing. The cursor flickered on and off, but no new message came. 3 minutes passed, and the typing indicator still blinked. Sophia swiveled her laptop around. The comment from their followers filled the screen, waiting for the sequel. Why'd he tear up back then? Please at Luca himself. Someone named Elena is asking, should we drop the plagiarism email receipts? The phone suddenly lit up with a video call request. The name Luca flashed like a glitching code, making the desk vibrate. Isabella nearly knocked over her coffee cup. The coffee stains on her fingertips smudged the screen, leaving a small brown blur. Answer it. Sophia tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her voice urging. Remember to record the screen. This is exclusive content. When Isabella pressed accept, she felt her thumb shaking. The camera wobbled for a moment. Then Luca's face filled the screen. He was thinner than he'd been at the Biennale, with faint dark circles under his eyes, like he'd pulled several all-nighters. Your cuff. His first words made Isabella freeze. His voice came through the receiver, warm with a hint of amusement. The ochre paint's still there. You never washed it? Sophia mouthed silently beside her. How does he remember that? So, Isabella heard her own voice sound like a taut string. Her fingertips tightened unconsciously around the hem of her trench coat. Did you call just to mock my old clothes? Or to talk about the challenge letter you tore up back then? Luca suddenly turned the camera around. The frame wobbled, then settled on the wall covered in paper scraps. Isabella's stomach lurched. Every scrap had been sealed in clear plastic film, pieced back together into the complete challenge letter. Even the tiny, angry doodle she'd drawn in the corner, a stick figure with a furrowed brow, was intact, and the edges of the film were trimmed with thin gold leaf. I painted facing it every day. Luca's voice came from off-camera, tinged with barely noticeable nervousness. I was afraid the paint would smudge it, so I had it professionally treated for oxidation. Sophia pinched Isabella's wrist, whispering, is this performance art or a love confession? It's more romantic than Andrea's proposal ever was. The reason I tore it up back then was because Luca's face reappeared on camera. His eyelashes cast tiny shadows under the overhead light, like pencil shavings on a canvas. You compare me to the male lead in Moonlight over Florence. He gave a bitter laugh, scratching the back of his ear. That cheesy romance novel was going around the girls' dorms. My roommate even teased me about it, saying I tried too hard to be deep. Isabella's ears suddenly burned, as if warmed by the studio's heat lamps. Of course she remembered what she'd written in those 3 pages of taunts. You're just as annoying as that fake deep painter in the novel. Your sketches are worse than my 3-year-old niece's. At the time, she'd only cared about getting back at him. Now, it sounded like the awkward confession of a teenager. So you'd rather tear up the letter in front of everyone, she said, clutching the cuff of her trench coat. The hard paint dug into her palm. Then be mistaken for a cheesy romance novel hero. On the other side of the camera, Lucas suddenly picked up a palette knife. The metal blade glinted in the light. Isabella held her breath until she saw him use the tip to lift the canvas on his easel. Under layers of paint, countless sketches of her profile gradually emerged. Each one had a date in the corner. September 15th, 2018, her birthday. June 20th, 2019, Biennale opening day. December 31st, 2020, New Year's Eve. The newest one, dated the previous week, showed her looking down at her phone in an airport, her hair ruffled slightly by the wind. "I painted this last week," he said, pointing to the newest sketch, his tone careful. "I saw the news about your curation exhibition in an art magazine. In the photo, you were standing in the gallery with sunlight on your hair, just like you were back then on that old bridge in Florence." Sophia suddenly snatched the phone. The camera wobbled. "Excuse me, Mr. Luca, should we classify these sketches as stalking evidence or a sentimental collection? Our account specializes in exposing dirty laundry, so don't think you can sweet-talk your way out of this." There an apology, Luca's voice softened suddenly, as if afraid of disturbing something. "I later bought 20 copies of Moonlight over Florence, just to find the passage you'd referenced, so I could explain. But I never got the chance." When Isabella took the phone back, she noticed a stack of faded Moonlight over Florence copies on the low cabinet in the corner of the frame. The top one was dog-eared, filled with dense, sticky notes. Some of the notes even had tiny doodles, exactly like the one she'd drawn on the challenge letter back then. "I found it in the third copy," Lucas said, scratching his nose with a finger stained with cobalt blue paint. The tips of his ears were pink. "The character you compare me to was actually a villain, not the male lead." Silence settled over the three of them, broken only by the sound of the same wind outside the window. Isabella heard the night breeze rattle the slightly open window, just like the old, ill-fitting window panes at the Florence Academy of Art, which had always let in the smell of turpentine and paint. "Can you tell me now?" Luca suddenly leaned closer to the camera. His pupils loomed large on the screen, like two deep wells. And in them, she saw her own reflection. "What did you write on the last page of the challenge letter?" "The part that got soaked in coffee. I tried piecing it together so many times, but I could never read the last line." Sophia suddenly coughed violently, as if choking on coffee. Isabella looked at the gold paint dust on Luca's eyelashes, and remembered the afternoon she turned 18. On the final page of the challenge letter, she'd drawn a heart pierced by an arrow, with a line next to it. "Actually, your sketches are pretty good. Just stop trying so hard to be deep. I'll tell you in the next video," she said, hanging up quickly. Her palms were soaked in sweat, even dampening the phone case. Before Sophia could scream, the notification chime sounded again. Luca had sent a photo. Next to the wall of paper scraps in his studio was an unfinished oil painting. In the center of the blank canvas, two figures stood side by side, sketched lightly in pencil. The background was the old Florence Bridge, and on the bridge, there was even a tiny figure holding an ice cream. Isabella stared at the outline of the unfinished painting, her thumb brushing the edge of her phone unconsciously. Sophia suddenly swiveled her laptop around. The Weibo trending topic on the screen made her eyes widen. #AndreaTantrums on new account hashtag. "Look, he's spamming our latest video with an account named Milan Financier, saying this rumor-mongering account better prepare for a lawsuit," Sophia said, opening the comment section and pointing to a top comment. Someone also found out he just registered that account yesterday. His profile picture is a photo of him and Irene, and she's still wearing your necklace. Elena poked her head out of the kitchen, holding a tablet. On the screen was an unsent email. "His assistant just emailed me, threatening to sue us for defamation." They even attached a draft of the lawyer's letter. The official seal is blurry. "Is he going to use the diamond necklace he gave me 2 years ago to pay the legal fees?" Isabella sneered, tapping Andrea's profile picture on the screen. "Remember this?" She suddenly opened her wardrobe and pulled out a beige shirt with a yellowed collar, the one Andrea had worn on their first date. The third button still had a lipstick stain from when she'd accidentally smudged it back then. Sophia whistled, her eyes alight with excitement. "You're playing the nostalgia card? That's brutal. Way more effective than calling him names directly. We're going live at 8 p.m. tonight." Isabella held the shirt up to the camera. The lipstick stain on the collar stood out clearly in the light. Title it, "How to Clap Back with Gifts from Your Ex-Husband." And we'll drop Elena's plagiarism email too. Full receipts, no holds barred. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw her phone screen. Luca had sent another message. "Need a witness? My studio's Instagram has 800K followers. Might be able to help." Elena leaned over to look at the message, tapping the screen. "His followers are super engaged. The sketch video he posted last time got over 100K shares. If he joins, our live stream will definitely go viral." "No," Isabella said, her nails digging into the shirt's wrinkles. The fabric's texture scraped her fingertips. "I can't drag him into this mess. He's an artist. He doesn't deserve to be tangled up in this garbage." As soon as the words left her mouth, her phone vibrated. Luca had sent a direct live stream collaboration request with a note. "I have evidence of Andrea threatening me. Might be able to help you." Sophia clicked accept before Isabella could react. The screen split into two instantly. On his side of the frame, Luca was mixing paint. His apron was splattered with a familiar ochre color, matching the paint on Isabella's trench coat, as if they were two halves of an unfinished work. I just got a DM from Andrea, he said, holding up his tablet. The screen showed a screenshot of the message. Luca, mind your own business. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can never work in the art world again. That idiot. He actually dared to threaten you, Isabella said, her grip on the shirt tightening until her knuckles whitened. Luca suddenly turned the camera to his easel. On the unfinished oil painting, a new silhouette had been added, a woman wearing a diamond necklace. Next to the silhouette, a line of small text read, "Plagiarists always live in the shadow of the original. What if we turn the necklace into a microphone?" He tapped the silhouette on the canvas with his brush, a hint of humor in his voice. Just like how you turn the scraps of the challenge letter into curation inspiration. Even trash can be turned into something valuable. Sophia suddenly slammed her hand on the table, typing so hard the keyboard rattled. Yes, we'll take the necklace apart live, remove the diamonds, and turn them into a microphone, then donate it to an anti-plagiarism foundation. Satisfying and meaningful, perfect. At 7:50 p.m., Isabella adjusted her collar in the bathroom mirror. Andrea's shirt hung loosely on her frame. She'd rubbed the lipstick stain on the third button, only making it more noticeable. From the living room, she heard Sophia testing the lights. A little to the left, perfect. Keep the necklace's reflection aimed at the camera, so every viewer can see that diamond clearly. Her phone lit up. Elena had forwarded a screenshot of Andrea's latest post. It showed a blank lawyer's letter with the caption, "See you tonight. Rumor mongers will pay the price." In the comments, fans were already mocking. Is he copying Isabella's old trick? Last time she took down a plagiarist, she used a blank lawyer's letter too. Ready. Sophia handed her a small toolkit, a tiny letter opener, and a magnifying glass. The jeweler said the setting just needs to be pried open here, and the diamond will come out without damage. Isabella suddenly stopped her. Her fingertips still smelled of skincare products. Wait. She opened the latest video Luca had sent her. On the screen, he was gluing the real scraps of the challenge letter onto a canvas. Each scrap bore her familiar handwriting, and the edges were framed with gold leaf, like mending a broken piece of time. To all viewers, Luca held up one of the scraps to the camera, his voice serious. "This is the challenge letter Isabella wrote me when she was 18. I was stupid back then and tore it up. Now I want to put it back together. I want to put back the time we lost too." The live stream notification chimed sharply, like an alarm in the studio. Isabella took a deep breath and held the diamond necklace up to the camera. The gem's reflection glinted across the screen. Viewers flooded in, 50,000 instantly. The comment section exploded with excitement. "Sis looks so cool. Can't wait to see the necklace get taken apart." An insult from Andrea's fake accounts. "Bitch, you're gonna go to jail?" "Welcome to the truth party," she said, holding up the letter opener. The blade glinted coldly in the light. First, let's take a look at this €30,000 necklace. A birthday gift from Andrea last year, bought with my secondary card. Now it's around his new girlfriend, Irene's neck. And Irene, she paused, her gaze sweeping the comments, is a serial plagiarist. We have the email records from when she plagiarized in college. Let's pull those up now. Elena immediately projected the email screenshots onto the live stream. The screen clearly showed an email Irene had sent to the original author in 2018. "Your novel is good. I'll just rewrite a few parts and use it." The attachment was a revised excerpt, 90% identical to the original. The comments exploded with, "And receipts confirmed." Viewership surged to 100,000 just as the tip of the letter opener touched the diamond setting. A collaboration request popped up. Andrea's real face appeared on the screen. The background was a lawyer's office, with gilded law books on a shelf, obviously staged. His suit and tie clashed absurdly with the comments flooding in. "Kept man. Plagiarist enabler. ISA. Ask him about the Dubai funds." Sophia immediately split the screen, shrinking Andrea's face to a corner. "Mr. Andrea, care to explain if the bag you gave Irene was bought with Isabella's credit card? And when do you plan to return the assets you transferred to Dubai?" The frame suddenly glitched, the pixels blurring. Luca's video request forced its way in. The screen split into 3 parts. Isabella watched Andrea's expression freeze. On Luca's side of the frame, the unfinished oil painting now had a new detail. The words "plagiarists always live in the shadow of the original" scrawled in blood red paint, with a cross drawn next to the diamond necklace silhouette. "Everyone." Isabella Pride opened the necklace's setting with a sharp click. The diamond glinted in the camera light, like a falling star. "Please welcome our special guest tonight, Mr. Luca, who Andrea accused of stalking." When Luca's face appeared in the 4th section of the split screen, viewership hit 200,000. Without a word, he held up his well-worn copy of Moonlight over Florence. He flipped to page 37, where a passage highlighted in neon yellow described the villain embezzling funds through fake art investments and bribing judges. Next to the passage, he taped a screenshot of Andrea's company's financial records, which matched the novel's plot exactly. The comments exploded with, "An epic crossover. Viewership topped 250,000. Isabella glanced down at her phone. Elena had sent a new message. Andrea dropped the lawsuit. His assistant just emailed me, calling the lawyer's letter a misunderstanding. His company's official account is deleting posts. Even the arrogant comments are gone. Looks like our male lead has made an early exit." Isabella smiled, holding up the detached diamond. It sparkled faintly in the light. "Next, we're auctioning off these ill-gotten gains, the diamond and metal parts of the necklace. All proceeds will go to an anti-plagiarism foundation to help creators harmed by plagiarism." Lucas suddenly cleared his throat. His voice came through the receiver, careful and tentative. "Wait a second." He turned and fetched a rusted metal box from behind his easel. When he opened it, it creaked, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of old memories. Through the screen, Isabella could almost smell the turpentine, the scent she'd known so well at 18, mixed with sunlight and paint. "I actually regretted tearing it up right after I did it," he said, his fingertips brushing the yellowed scraps inside the box, gently, as if afraid of breaking them. "So I snuck back and picked up every piece. Spent a whole month gluing them back together. Later, I was scared of losing them, so I had them laminated." Before he could finish, the live stream suddenly cut to black. A gray message popped up. "Live stream suspended for violating guidelines." The last frame shown was Andrea's lawyer's panicked face and Sophia's muffled laugh. "Whoa, someone reported us for violating guidelines." But it was Andrea. In the darkness, Isabella felt the diamond from the necklace in her hand. Its edges dug into her palm. She heard Sophia talking to Elena. "Look at the trends. Hashtag Andrea drops lawsuit hashtag and hashtag Irene plagiarism proven hashtag are both in the top 10. Her phone lit up. Luca had sent a location pin for Florence with a message. "The rooftop, our old spot. My turn to issue the challenge this time." Next to the message was a small sun emoji, just like the sunlight on that old bridge back then. Isabella stared at the location pin, her fingertips tapping the edge of her phone unconsciously. The screen's glow reflected on her face. Sophia suddenly held up her tablet. The Weibo topic on the screen made her laugh out loud. "Look, fans have dug up everything on Andrea. Hashtag Milan Financier copies life. Hashtag is already trending at #1. The screen was filled with netizen exposés. The top post was a video from one of Irene's former colleagues. The girl held up her phone, her tone disdainful. She even copies Isabella's social media persona. When Isabella posts photos of oil paintings during afternoon tea, Irene copies the exact same angle. When Isabella said she liked Luca's art, Irene bought his merch and pretended to be an art fan. Elena brought coffee into the room, the cups printed with the Paris College of Art emblem. "I got in touch with the original author Irene plagiarized. She's willing to provide evidence, including the professor's criticism letter calling Irene lacking in originality, only capable of copying others' ideas." When she set down the cup, a few drops of coffee spilled onto Andrea's shirt. The brown stains mixed with the lipstick, like an absurd little painting. "This shirt should be burned." Isabella grabbed the collar, but caught a whiff of the lingering cologne, a scent that brought back Andrea's fake smile. She suddenly turned to Sophia. Before the live stream got taken down, did anyone screenshot Andrea's lawyer's face? "I swear I saw an antique vase on the shelf behind him. Looked like a fake." Sophia grinned and pulled up a gift sent by a fan. In the frame, Andrea's lawyer was subtly shifting to block the shelf, but hadn't noticed the antique appraisal report peeking out from under a stack of papers. The word counterfeit was clearly visible on the report. "Commenters are saying it's a gift Andrea gave him to launder money. Called it an art investment, but it's just a cheap fake, worth practically nothing." Her phone vibrated again. Luca had sent another message. "Saw the trends? Hashtag Irene runs off with money hashtag just dropped. Someone took photos of her checking in at the airport. Her luggage has Dubai tags." Isabella opened the article. The photos, taken by an airport staff member, showed Irene wearing sunglasses, pulling 2 large suitcases. The diamond necklace was gone from her neck, leaving her looking surprisingly shabby. "Serves her right." Sophia leaned over to look at the photos, satisfaction in her tone. Andrea must be panicking right now. His assets frozen, his new girlfriend gone, his reputation in tatters. As soon as she spoke, Elena gasped. "Oh my God, the financial news just broke, a flash update." Her trembling finger enlarged the headline. "Milan socialite Andrea suspected of asset misappropriation. Partner bank freezes accounts urgently." The article stated that Andrea had transferred funds to an empty Dubai company through fake art purchases. After discovering the fraud, the partner bank had frozen all his accounts, including those linked to the gallery. Isabella felt lightheaded, gripping the edge of the table for support. She remembered seeing a corner of a plane ticket peeking out of Andrea's suit pocket that morning, when she'd signed the divorce agreement. At the time, she'd thought he was taking Irene on vacation. Now she realized he'd probably been planning to run away all along. While I was looking at the financial statements earlier, I noticed several artwork purchase funds with unknown destinations. Now we have the proof. Look at this. Sophia suddenly screamed, tapping a post on an anonymous forum. The poster claimed to be a hotel housekeeper and had attached a photo of a crumpled note. The messy handwriting was clearly Irene's. "You were just a stepping stone for me to copy, Isabella. Once I get the money, I'll divorce you. Who want a kept man like you?" Under the note were several bank transfer slips, with Andrea's signature clearly visible in the corner. Isabella zoomed in on the photo. The signature on the transfer slips was unmistakably Andrea's. Her stomach twisted. She remembered the first unknown transfer she'd found 3 years earlier. What had Andrea said back then? "It's an art investment. You wouldn't understand. I'll buy you a new necklace when we make a profit." Now it was clear, all lies. "I'm going to Florence." She grabbed her keys. The hem of her trench coat knocked over the coffee cup on the coffee table. The sound of ceramic shattering was as crisp as a palette knife falling in a studio. Elena and Sophia exchanged a look, both seeing the smile in each other's eyes. "Someone was saying just now that she didn't want to drag him into this mess," Sophia said teasingly. "Now you're in a hurry to see him?" Isabella looked back at the screen, the photo of the rooftop at sunset. The railing in the picture was slightly rusted, just like it had been back then. The sunset dyed the metal a honey color, the same shade Luca used in his paintings. The scraps of the challenge letter she'd torn up at 18 were now glowing softly on the wall of Luca's studio, like recovered stars. She felt the diamond from the necklace in her pocket, its edges pressing against her palm, a cold reminder that kept her clear-headed. This time, she opened the door. The wind carried the mist of the Seine, lifting her hair. "I'm the one issuing him the challenge." When Isabella pushed open the rusted iron gate to the rooftop of the Florence Academy of Art, the hinge screeched, a sound that seemed to greet the past. Luca stood with his back to her, leaning against the railing. The setting sun dyed his paint-splattered apron a warm honey color. The wind lifted the hem of his apron, revealing a white t-shirt underneath, splattered with a spot of cobalt blue paint, like a tiny starry sky. "Bring the challenge letter?" He didn't turn around. His voice mixed with the distant church bells, deep and gentle, a world away from the hot-tempered teenager he'd been at 18. Isabella felt the diamond in her pocket, its cold edges pressing against her palm. "First, explain something," she said, approaching. She kicked an empty paint tube on the ground. The label read Ochre, the same brand as the paint on her trench coat. "Elena said the plagiarized novel was based on you. That Irene snuck photos of your sketches and turned them into a brooding genius painter persona." Lucas suddenly turned around. The metal box in his hand clattered against his easel, sending paint tubes rolling across the floor. Isabella saw the words September 15th, 2014 painted on the lid in acrylic. The exact day he'd torn up her challenge letter in front of everyone, and the day she'd turned 18. "Irene was my classmate. Same studio," he said, his nails digging into the edge of the box. His knuckles whitened, as if recalling an unpleasant memory. "She'd always peek at my sketches. Later I found out she was sending photos of the sketches I'd done of you to other people, claiming she'd drawn them. She even made up that brooding genius persona to get followers." The wind lifted the collar of Isabella's coat. The scent of her Milan perfume hadn't faded yet, mixing with the smell of sunlight in Florence. She stared at the scratch on Luca's jaw, fresh, like he'd nicked himself while shaving that morning. "So Andrea married a bad copycat? Even the person he liked was just a copy of me." The canvas on the easel was suddenly blown open by the wind. The dust cover slid to the ground, revealing layers of sketches of her profile, bathed in the dusk light. Each one had a date in the bottom right corner. The earliest was dated September 16th, 2014, the day after he'd torn up her challenge letter. It showed her in the studio, head bowed as she mixed paint, her hair falling across her face, hiding half of it. "Were you stalking me?" Isabella's ears burned, warmed by the sunset. Her fingertips twisted unconsciously around the hem of her coat. Luca opened the metal box. The scraps of paper rustled, like wind through leaves. "Worse than that," he said, picking up the smallest scrap. "Only half of the name Bella remained on it. I even picked up the coffee cup you threw away once. It had your lipstick on it. I used it as a pen holder for years, until I accidentally dropped it. I was upset for days after." Sophia's call suddenly cut through the air, its ringtone a song they'd loved back in their Paris days. Isabella reached for the phone to hang up, but Luca stopped her, his hand covering her wrist. His warmth seeped through the fabric, slightly trembling. "Answer it. It must be good news. Guess who just followed our account?" Sophia's scream came through the receiver, accompanied by cheers in the background. "The official Florence Biennale account. We hit 800K followers, and Andrea's gallery was taken over by the bank." The shares he embezzled are being returned to the rightful owner. Isabella looked at Luca's paint-stained fingers. The cobalt blue smudge on his cuff matched the ochre on her coat, splotchy and uneven, like an unfinished painting. And there's more, Sophia continued, shouting. Andrea's former assistant met us. Said the documents Irene ran off with include a forged gallery transfer agreement with your signature. The police are already investigating. Luca suddenly coughed, covering his mouth as if trying to hide a laugh. Isabella noticed a stack of over 20 copies of Moonlight over Florence at his feet, all with frayed spines. On top of the pile, a small sticky note was taped to the title page, page 37. False gentlemanly pretense. Definitely described me back then. So childish. You really bought this many. She kicked the most tattered one. Its corners were curled like waves. The tips of Luca's ears turned pink, dyed by the sunset. I visited several bookstores to collect different editions, just to find all the passages you'd referenced, he said, opening the title page. Among the dense neon highlights, a small sticky note was tucked inside, with a doodle of a scowling stick figure, exactly like the one she'd drawn on the challenge letter back then. See? Doesn't this look just like the one you drew? Isabella suddenly snatched the book, flipping quickly to the dog-eared page. On the yellowed paper, a line she'd underlined with a fountain pen had been circled in red by Luca. The way he tore up the love letter made him look like a caged beast, caring but pretending not to. It wasn't from the original novel. It was a note she'd written in the margin back then, filled with the awkwardness and hurt of adolescence. This isn't from the original text, Luca said, his voice tight. His fingertips brushed the note gently, as if afraid of smudging the ink. It's the comment you wrote in the margin. I read it so many times before I finally understood what you meant back then. The scraps of paper in the metal box rustled in the wind, as if telling the regrets of years past. Isabella saw the angry doodle she'd drawn on one of the scraps. Next to it, Luca had added a tiny apology in small handwriting. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have torn up your challenge letter, and I shouldn't have pretended not to see you. So all these years, her throat felt dry. The smell of sunlight in the wind made her dizzy. You painted me, using the scraps? For 7 years. Luca's paintbrush suddenly fell to the ground. The metal handle clattered on the concrete, a sharp sound. When he bent down to pick it up, an invitation slipped out of his apron pocket. The gilded title, The True Challenge letter, glinted in the sunset. The paper was exactly the same as the one she'd used for her original challenge letter. My solo exhibition next month, he said, picking up the dusty invitation and brushing the ink with his fingertips. I'm short a curator. I was hoping you'd help me. Sophia's gasp came through the receiver, loud and clear. Say yes. Elena just found out Andrea's been selling fake paintings. The police have opened a case. He's not getting away this time. You need to talk to Luca. Don't miss this chance again. Isabella's fingertips brushed the edge of the invitation. The texture of the paper brought back the memory of handing her challenge letter to Luca at 18. One condition, she said suddenly, grabbing a palette and dipping her finger into gold leaf paint. I want to display the scraps in the exhibition, and I want your sketches next to them, to show everyone that plagiarism and lies can never beat sincerity. Luca's Adam's apple bobbed. The sunset filled his eyes with tiny sparks of light. He turned and pulled off the dust cover from behind the easel, revealing a finished painting. The torn challenge letter pieced back together on the canvas, each scrap sealed in resin. The cracks between the pieces were filled with gold leaf, like a healed scar. In the corner of the canvas, 2 figures stood side by side on the old Florence Bridge, holding an ice cream, exactly like the sketch from years ago. I already prepared it, he said, his voice soft as a feather, settling on Isabella's heart. The painting's called The 7-Year Itch. But it's not an itch, it's longing. Isabella suddenly pressed the diamond into the palette. The gem sank into the cobalt blue paint, like a falling star, glowing alongside the gold leaf on the canvas. Shall we restart the live stream? She held up her paint-stained hand, gold leaf dust still on her fingertips. Show the fans how to turn an ex-husband's diamond into installation art, and announce our collaborative curation project. Lucas suddenly took her wrist. His warmth seeped through the paint, warm and steady. First, let's fix our unfinished business, he said, pointing to a blank spot on the canvas. This part's missing your signature. You never finished signing the challenge letter back then. Let's finish it now. Sophia's scream suddenly cut off. Isabella realized the call was still connected. The timer showed 27 minutes and 14 seconds, exactly the length of their argument in the studio on her 18th birthday. You two go on, Sophia said, her voice soft with amusement. Elena just said Andrea's checking flight tickets to Dubai, but the airport already put him on the blacklist. He can't run. I'll leave you two alone. Remember to turn the live stream back on. The fans are waiting. As the call ended, the church bells rang 7 times in the distance. The long, resonant sound wrapped around them, mixing with the smell of sunlight and turpentine. Luca suddenly knelt down on one knee. His apron was dusty, but he looked more sincere than ever. From his pocket, he pulled out a velvet box. Inside wasn't a ring, but a tiny frame holding the most important scrap of the challenge letter. The words, "You're even more annoying than the novel's male lead," were visible, and the edge was lined with gold leaf, like a precious jewel. "Isabella," he said, his voice trembling but clear. "My turn to challenge you." He held up the war novel. On the title page, her teenage handwriting was still clear. "If you can keep liking me for more than 7 years, I'll forgive you for tearing up my challenge letter." Isabella snatched the book, laughing as she tossed it into the paint. Paint splattered over both of them, a rainbow of color, like a celebration. She grabbed a paintbrush and scribbled a new line in the blank spot on the canvas. "Challenge accepted. Happy collaboration, my rival." As the ink spread, it looked just like the coffee-stained promise from years ago, but brighter, warmer, more alive. When she looked up, she saw Luca turning on his phone's live stream. The number of viewers jumped wildly on the screen, and the comments were filled with "shipping it" and "wish you happiness." The sunset bathed them in golden light, stretching their shadows long across the rooftop, like an unfinished painting, but one filled with hope. "The live stream's on," Lucas said, smiling as he wiped paint from her cheek. "We owe the fans an explanation, like when the exhibition will be, and when will—" Isabella covered his mouth, shaking her head with a laugh. "First the exhibition. The rest, take it slow." The church bells rang again, 8 times, 9 times, as if marking the softest rhythm for their reunion.